My backyard was my pride. Until one night, my neighbor Ryan McAllister and his drunk friends trashed it. Lawn ruined, deck broken, even my hedge used as a toilet. When I confronted him, he laughed. Called it just a party. Big mistake. Ryan thought he could get away with it. He had no idea what was coming. Because my revenge? It made headlines. Let's start from the beginning. A perfect evening. Before the storm. The sun was setting, casting a warm, golden hue over my perfectly manicured backyard. A slight breeze rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of freshly mowed grass and the lingering aroma of barbecue from a neighbor's house down the street. It was the kind of evening that made all the hours of hard work I had put into my yard worth it. I sank into my comfortable Adirondack chair, sipping a cold beer and stretching my legs out in front of me. Everything was pristine. The new walnut-stained wooden deck, the immaculate green sod, and my carefully arranged stone fire pit in the center of the yard. The 6-foot cedar fence surrounding my property stood tall and strong, a symbol of my peaceful sanctuary. For the first time all week, I felt truly relaxed. And then, the bass started. Ryan McAllister, the living, breathing menace. I knew that sound. It was the distinct, gut-rattling vibration of someone cranking their speakers to club-level volume. I sighed, rubbing a hand over my face. I already knew who was responsible. Ryan McAllister, the bane of my existence. Ryan, 45, blonde, perpetually tanned, and always wearing a smug grin, was the kind of guy who believed HOA rules were for other people. A corporate sales executive with an overinflated ego, he strutted around like he owned the entire block, treating the neighborhood as his personal playground. Ryan had one major hobby: throwing massive, obnoxious parties, and tonight, he was in rare form. The first signs of disaster. I tried to ignore it. I really did. I cranked up my own outdoor speaker, hoping to drown out the noise, but it was pointless. The bass grew louder. The shouts and laughter escalated. And then, the fence jumpers arrived. I nearly choked on my beer as I watched 2 drunken idiots climb over my fence like it was some kind of jungle gym. The first was a college-aged guy in a bright Hawaiian shirt, beer sloshing over the rim of his red Solo cup as he stumbled onto my deck. His friend, a muscle-bound guy in a Saturdays Are for the Boys tank top, landed beside him, laughing, on my deck, like they belonged there. "Bro, this yard is way nicer," Hawaiian shirt dude slurred, dragging his dirty sneakers across my freshly stained wood. My jaw tightened. "Hey, get the hell out of my yard!" They barely even glanced at me. Tank top bro shrugged, taking a lazy sip of his drink. "Chill, man. It's just grass." Just grass? Just my yard? I was about to blow a gasket, but before I could fully process my rage, a new horror arrived. A blonde girl in a neon bikini, holding her phone at the perfect angle, sauntered into my yard like she was stepping onto a runway. "Ooh, this lighting is like amazing. You guys, get in the shot." I blinked. Then came more. One by one, more drunken partygoers poured over my fence like a damn floodgate had burst. The destruction begins. They trampled my flower beds, knocked over my patio furniture, and tossed empty bottles onto my lawn without a second thought. I watched in absolute horror as a frat-looking dude unzipped his pants and pissed directly onto my hedge. That was it. I saw red. I stormed toward the fence, fury burning in my veins. "Ryan!" I bellowed. And there he was, the king of arrogance. Ryan stood behind his fancy outdoor kitchen, grilling up expensive steaks like some kind of suburban overlord. He was grinning, beer in hand, completely unbothered by the chaos his guests were causing. "Jake, my man!" he called out, as if we were best friends. I clenched my fists. "What the hell is going on?" Ryan took a sip of his beer and shrugged.
It's a party, man. Relax. I gestured wildly at the trashed remains of my backyard. Relax? There's a guy pissing on my hedge. Ryan laughed. They're just kids. Let 'em have fun. I stared at him, my blood boiling. I looked back at my yard. The music was deafening. The lawn was wrecked. The deck was stained with beer. My peace was shattered. Ryan, he didn't care. The moment of clarity. I inhaled deeply, forcing myself to calm down. Not because I wasn't furious. I was beyond furious. But because I knew if I acted on my impulses, I'd end up on the evening news. I turned on my heel and stormed back inside, slamming the door behind me. If Ryan thought he could just wreck my backyard and walk away untouched, he was about to learn a very, very painful lesson. Because this was war. The next morning I walked outside to what looked like the aftermath of a natural disaster. Beer bottles and crushed cans covered the grass. Cigarette butts were stamped into my newly built deck. A full-on lawn chair was sitting inside my fire pit, partially burned. And the worst part? Some drunk idiot had driven onto my yard, tearing up the sod and leaving deep tire tracks. I stood there, hands on my hips, my blood pressure skyrocketing. Ryan, of course, was nowhere to be found. But his yard? Spotless. Like nothing had ever happened. I knocked on his door. No answer. I tried again, harder. Finally, he opened the door, looking hungover as hell. Ugh, dude, what do you want? I held up my phone, showing photos of the wreckage. You're gonna clean this up, today. Ryan squinted at the screen, then shrugged. Yeah, I don't know, man. Looks like some of that was already there. I nearly lost it. You think I just leave garbage and piss stains in my yard for fun? Ryan leaned against his doorframe, smirking. Look, Jake, maybe you should be a little more chill. You're always so uptight about rules and property lines. Because it's my damn property. Ryan sighed, clearly bored with the conversation. Fine, I'll send some guys over later. He didn't. Instead, I got a letter from the HOA. A fine for excessive yard mess and improper lawn maintenance. I actually laughed when I saw it, a dry, bitter sound. Ryan had trashed my yard, and now I was getting penalized for it. I marched straight to the HOA office, slamming the letter onto Karen Monroe's desk. Karen, a 50-year-old woman with a sharp bob and an even sharper attitude, adjusted her glasses. Mr. Weston, fines are issued based on HOA regulations. I cut her off. So where the hell was the fine for Ryan's party? She gave me that fake, condescending smile HOA presidents have mastered. Ryan's been a resident here for a long time. These things happen. It's best to just move on. Move on? I nodded, forcing a smile. You're right. I should let this go. That was the moment I decided to ruin Ryan's life. I spent the next week preparing. I installed motion-activated sprinklers, but instead of water, I filled them with diluted skunk spray. I reinforced my fence with a 6-foot-tall steel barrier. HOA rules be damned. And my masterpiece? A massive stadium-level floodlight system angled straight at Ryan's yard. Friday night came. Ryan threw another party. And when his guests tried climbing the fence, bam! Sprinklers activated. The air was instantly filled with screams as people ran, gagging from the smell. Ryan came out furious and soaked. Jake, what the hell? I smirked. Oh, I thought you said no harm, no foul. Then I flipped the floodlights. Ryan's yard was lit up like a crime scene. The underage drinkers suddenly had nowhere to hide. The guy doing lines of coke on the patio table? Caught in 4K. And Ryan himself? Standing there, mid-argument with his wife, who looked ready to kill him. Within minutes, cops pulled up. Ryan tried to argue, but when I handed over my security footage, the cops started writing citations.
Monday morning, the HOA held an emergency meeting. Ryan sat there, face red as a tomato, while Karen tried to control the damage. But the real kicker? My revenge video, the sprinklers, the floodlights, the screaming guests, and Ryan's wife storming out, had gone viral. Headline: HOA Golden Boy gets humiliated in the best revenge plan ever. Ryan was fined $5,000 for violating HOA rules. Karen Monroe stepped down to focus on personal matters. And me? I sat back on my pristine deck, sipping a beer, watching Ryan struggle to get his yard back in shape. Some victories just taste sweeter.